For Southern Miss Today, this is a party of less than 10, with me, Hannah Houston. As the shelter-in-place continues, Mississippi is trying to find rhythm in a new normal, which is proving difficult for students and teachers who are used to finding their rhythm along with the school bell. Grade schools across the South started closing for a week or a month or so due to COVID-19 protection, and many have recently announced that the remainder of the semester will be online, with the rest of schools to soon follow.
And I think that first week, there was a huge learning curve.
Triple the work. It feels like it's just the shock of that we've come down to this.
Online schooling has been a challenge for students, parents, and teachers to adapt to the new schedule.
Well, it's usually the same as when you're at school, just you're not at school.
I talked with a few teachers and students from schools across the southern Mississippi and Louisiana area that have gone completely online for the rest of the semester. Harley Cambron, a 5th grader from Spanish Lake Primary in Ascension Parish, Louisiana, says that she has enjoyed online school.
My favorite thing is that my parents get to act like my teachers.
She says the homeschooling technique is working better for her, as she's finding it easier to more confidently communicate with teachers.
Like, when you're having problems, you can actually message your teacher, and they can tell you, even though you're not actually talking to each other in person, you're still talking to each other. I think it's better online because sometimes when I go up to her, I kind of forget what I'm going to ask her because, some people take a long time and we're sitting in a very long line to ask her questions.
Harley's mother, Monica, says that teaching her daughter from home works best for them by keeping a schedule.
Well, we try to follow the actual school schedule. So 8:30 is when our first class would begin. So that's what we try to start with. So what they did whenever they sent us home, we had 10 days worth of worksheets for each class. And then we also have our online class. So there's school, which would be the equivalent of, class time, and then you also would have your worksheet, your homework. So we end up doing everything during that class time because whatever they do in the class for online, it's not time consuming except for ELA, because you have a lot of reading to do. Things are a lot different for us. Harley does have ADD, so what would normally take, somebody else maybe 30 minutes to complete would take us possibly an hour, maybe even 2 hours. It is difficult to stay on the schedule just because we are, this work has to be complete. So even if we run into the next class period, then everything gets done.
Monica also said homeschool is much easier since both parents are at the home away from work right now.
He and I were just talking about it today. I feel so bad for the parents that are actually having to work from home and teach their children at the same time. Like, how stressful is that? I'm just now grateful because what if we had that extra task on our hands? Wow. Right.
Vaught Lawler, a 3rd grader from East Hancock Elementary in the Kill, Mississippi, says that he misses his friends and online school is difficult because it's harder to stay focused.
I thought I wanted to be homeschooled. I don't know. I feel like when you're at school, you feel more forced to do it, but when you're doing school from home, it feels like you have an option, but you really don't. So you don't do as much work, so it's not that good. But I'm still doing stuff. I'm still doing a lot. My favorite thing is I can eat whenever I want. And my least favorite thing, probably Google Classroom. I don't like Google Classroom.
His parents are having to work from home, so Vaught is largely teaching himself.
I spend about an hour because sometimes I go back and forth, or 30 minutes. It kind of depends on what my mood is. I'll do some reading and then I'll do some math. Math has gotten a lot harder, so my parents don't really get it. So actually one time I was teaching them.
Many schools are using Google Classrooms and worksheet printouts to provide students with learning materials. I asked both Vaught and Harley how exactly they were getting their schoolwork done.
I use my iPad and I use my dad's computer.
Harley says her school provided Chromebooks for students that needed them.
We had to do some packets for math, and they put each video for it, for each day in each lesson.
Svetlana Lucas, a 6th grade educator in South Mississippi, says it is important to remember the goal of education.
You know, one of the things that we had to keep in mind was the mandate from Governor Reeves and from our districts that school is closed, but learning is continuing.
However, this is challenging for many students who do not have internet access.
Okay, I have 40 total students for which I'm responsible, and 33 of them have access to online learning, meaning 33 of them have computers that are able to fully do the tasks. The 7 that don't, of those 7, I have 4 that have phones, so they're able to do the task in the degree that their device will allow them to, and then they have 3 that don't have any. So for those 3, we at my district provided paper and pencil packets of information, and those were picked up the first couple of weeks during the shelter in place.
A kindergarten teacher from another school in South Mississippi agrees.
We didn't get to do complete online because our children do not have access to online learning. So we had to make hard copies of packets for people who do not have it. And it's not that they don't have, it's not even the devices so much as their internet. They don't have internet services out where we live and other places, or their families cannot afford it. So we've had to make accommodations. So we have online learning if they're available. It's available to them, but the packets are the most of the bulk of learning that we are trying to get to the parent.
She says she's having difficulty reaching parents and getting students who can to sign up for Google Classrooms.
I've only had five of my students join my class.
For these students that do not have internet access, her school started out by sending weekly packets, but now that nobody is at school, there is no way to print and pass them out.
Because our school has closed completely, not even people, not the principals, no one is at school, not one single person. So we don't have any way to make hard copies anymore. So hard copies are not going home anymore. So even the people who do not have internet right now, if they by chance don't have it, they're kind of in a pickle because they don't have a way to get anything taught to them. So that's become a real problem and a concern. So what I do, Hannah, is I take that packet and I copy it after it's been sent back to me, and I send it to the kiddos who don't have internet service to their cell phones, because most of them have cell phones, and they try to maneuver it through the cell phone, but it's hard.
Lucas says her district has found a similar process of creating print-out packets to be successful.
The administrators in my school decided that, okay, there is going to come a time that we will not be able to physically hand out these packets or make them available at the school. So what the administration decided in my district was to give them all of the information at one time and say, okay, this is due this week, this is the 2nd week, this is the 3rd week, this is the 4th week, this is the 5th week, this is the 6th week, on up to 10 weeks.
Schools are trying to best assist parents with online learning and provide students with options if they did not have internet access. But the process is new to everyone and is harder for teachers when they receive little feedback.
I'm worried about where they're going to be, like as far as their learning. I don't know how we would be able to retain if they're not here with us.
Lucas says that the best thing for helping students continue learning right now is support from parents.
Teachers and parents are partners. If teachers and parents work together 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, but if there's a concerted, focus on, okay, how can I support or enhance what the teachers do in the classroom? And the teacher's thinking, how can I support or enhance or make easier what the parent is doing at home from an educational perspective, then the child benefits. How can I partner with whomever that adult is, to make sure that when that child goes home, they're still learning. It may not be something that I can assess formally, but I want to make sure that the things that are being taught in my classroom continue going on. And the parents don't have to be Einsteins to do it, but the parents have to be reasonably engaged. The parents have to be reasonably connected with, okay, how was your school day? What did you learn today? The parents have to be reasonably concerned. Well, let's make sure that this is done. Did you do your homework? Tell me about your homework. What was challenging? What was difficult? What would you ask the teacher? Those kinds of things, so that the child learns that learning indeed is important, whether we're in the school in a regular situation or whether we're not.
Sometimes you won't have your teachers by your side, and you'll have to do it all on your own.
For Southern Miss Today, this has been a party of less than 10. With me, Hannah Houston.